Welcome to Kingdom Business Talk. I'm your host, Ricky Trinidad. How do new middle-income single-family homes in a community affect businesses and the local economy? Today, I will be interviewed by two AI agents to discuss this. The AI agents came up with the dialogue. I just responded and answered their questions. The AI's perspective on how new homes in your community starts the economic boost is pretty interesting. Check out this short discussion between two AI agents and myself and let me know what you think.
All right, let's dive into something that might just turn your thinking about economic development upside down. We're talking about building homes, but not just any homes. Middle-income housing is like a powerful engine for local economies. So put aside those images of tax breaks for big corporations. What if the real key to growth is attracting families?
You're onto something intriguing. We often focus on the big fish, but the reality is a community's economic heartbeat often lies in its middle-income residents. These are the folks who create consistent demand for local businesses, services, and infrastructure.
To help us unpack this idea, we're joined by someone who's not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. Ricky Trinidad, president and founder of Metro Vitalization. They've got projects like Kingdom Place and Royalty Place underway in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, proving that building homes can be about so much more than just bricks and mortar. Welcome to the deep dive, Ricky.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be a part of this conversation.
So, Ricky, cities are always trying to lure in companies, offering all sorts of incentives. But you're saying building homes, particularly middle-income homes, is where the magic really happens.
I have to admit, that's not the first thing that comes to mind when I think of economic development.
You're right. It might seem counterintuitive, but at Metro Vitalization, we've seen firsthand how developing middle-income homes creates a ripple effect that goes way beyond just construction. When new families move in, they need goods and services, they enroll their kids in schools, they need healthcare.
The list goes on and on. Businesses pick up on this almost immediately. For example, in Newcastle, we're already seeing incredible interest from businesses wanting to set up shop near our development projects in process. And it's not just retail. We're talking office spaces, service industries, restaurants, and even healthcare facilities.
That's quite a range. You're really painting a picture of a thriving, diverse ecosystem. It sounds like a chain reaction: build the houses, and the rest follows.
It's exactly that, a chain reaction. And what's fascinating is that the demand generated by middle-income residents is often more sustainable in the long run. These families aren't just a flash in the pan. They're putting down roots, investing in their community, and becoming the backbone of the local economy.
So we've established that middle-income housing can spark this exciting chain reaction of economic growth. But I'm curious, Ricky, what's the magic behind middle-income residents in particular? Why are they such a key ingredient in this recipe for a thriving local economy?
That's a great question. It really comes down to the spending patterns of middle-income families. They have a different impact than those in luxury housing.
Okay, so walk me through this. What makes their spending patterns different?
Well, they're earning enough to support a wider range of goods and services. Think restaurants, entertainment, healthcare, education. They're investing in their families and their communities in a way that has a broader impact. They're not just supporting the high-end boutiques, they're keeping the whole local ecosystem running.
That makes a lot of sense. And Ricky, from your experience on the ground in Newcastle, have you seen this theory in action? What kinds of businesses beyond the initial wave are you seeing pop up?
Absolutely. We see the second wave of businesses looking to set up shop specifically to cater to those middle-income families. For instance, we have firms specializing in office needs like furniture suppliers and tech support companies interested in locating around our developments. And then there's also service industries, landscaping companies, cleaning services, and even pet groomers, all interested in the area because there's a new customer base with the means and the need for their services.
It's incredible how it all branches out, impacting so many different sectors. I never would have thought about furniture suppliers and pet groomers being part of the economic growth plan, but it makes perfect sense. But I do have to ask, this all sounds amazing, but what about the potential downsides? Like, could this type of development put a strain on existing infrastructure, or even lead to rising housing costs that end up pushing out the very families you're trying to attract?
You've hit on a crucial point. It's not as simple as throwing up some houses and waiting for the magic to happen. There does need to be a thoughtful, holistic approach. Ricky, I'm sure you've encountered this in your work at Metro Revitalization.
Absolutely. For us, a successful project isn't just about building homes. It's about building a sustainable community. That means working closely with local governments and community stakeholders right from the start. We need to make sure the infrastructure is in place to support this growth. Things like sufficient roads, reliable public transportation, quality schools, parks and green spaces, and accessible healthcare facilities. Affordability is a major factor. We need to make sure these communities grow and thrive, and we don't price out the very people who are the engine of that growth.
So it's a delicate balance ensuring that everyone benefits from this growth. It's not just about attracting new residents and businesses, but about creating a place where they can truly thrive long term.
That's the key takeaway. This approach to economic development requires a long-term vision. It's not about quick wins. It's about creating a legacy of opportunity for families, businesses, and the entire community.
This has been eye-opening, building strong communities as the foundation for lasting economic growth. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you said earlier, Ricky, about this approach being a magic ingredient for economic development. Is there any way to quantify that magic?
You're speaking my language. I love it when people ask about the numbers. There's a study by the National Association of Home Builders. They found that for every 100 new homes built, almost 300 jobs are created in that first year alone. And that's not just construction jobs. We're talking about jobs across all those sectors we've been discussing.
Wow, 300 jobs for every 100 homes. That's a pretty compelling statistic. It really highlights how investing in middle-income housing isn't just about putting a roof over people's heads. It's about building a stronger economic future for everyone. It's about creating opportunities not just for this generation, but for generations to come.
It really is about recognizing that a thriving community is built from the ground up, one home, one family at a time. And when you create a place where people feel a sense of belonging, where they have access to quality, attainable housing, and where they can see a future for themselves and their families, that's when the real magic happens.
Ricky, this has been such a fascinating conversation. Thank you for opening our eyes to this often overlooked aspect of economic development. And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you some new perspectives to consider about building stronger, more vibrant communities. It's not just about economics, it's about building a better future for everyone. Until next time, keep asking those thought-provoking questions and keep diving deep.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this AI conversation where the AI interviewed me. We'll be doing some of these AI interviews in the future to discuss topics like advanced strategies and technologies for urban planning, design, development, construction, community revitalization, as well as business, social, spiritual, and economic development. There's a lot of new technology today, and we should be using it responsibly to enhance our communities and our lives as much as possible. Artificial intelligence is one of them, but there are many others. Reach out and let me know what you think, and I look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. right here on Kingdom Business Talk.